For the first time, enough detail has been assembled to provide substance to the portraits of these men. It is important for us to know about them because, as a group, they constitute the parentage of the Mother's Supreme Council. Hello and welcome to the Scottish Rite Journal podcast, an audio presentation of the Scottish Rite Journal, brought to you and published by the Supreme Council of the Scottish Rite, Southern Jurisdiction, Mother Supreme Council of the World. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment on this article, and don't forget to hit the notifications bell. This week's article is Cornerstones of the Craft, Revisiting the 11 Gentlemen of Charleston by Arturo de Hoyos, 33rd degree Grand Cross, Grand Archivist and Grand Historian, and B. Chris Ruley, 32nd degree KCCH, Assistant Grand Historian, read by Brother Matt Bowers, 32nd degree, and comes from the July-August 2026 issue of the Scottish Rite Journal. On May 31st, 2026, the Supreme Council, 33rd degree Southern Jurisdiction, marked its 225th anniversary. To commemorate this special occasion, the Scottish Rite Research Society released a 225th anniversary edition of The 11 Gentlemen of Charleston, compiled by former librarian of the House of the Temple, Ray Baker Harris, 33rd degree, which included a revised and expanded introduction by illustrious Arturo de Hoyos, 33rd degree, Grand Cross, Grand Archivist and Grand Historian, and Brother B. Chris Ruley, 32nd degree KCCH, Assistant Grand Historian. First published in 1959, this short work by illustrious Harris featured biographical sketches of the Supreme Council's 11 founders during the institution's operation in Charleston, South Carolina. By the 1950s, interest had grown in developing an updated history of the Supreme Council, and Grand Commander Luther A. Smith, 33rd degree, commissioned Harris to develop the work based on what new information had been available at the time. Harris began work on the full history, but soon discovered that one of his early chapters, which focused entirely on the 11 founders, could be printed as a standalone work. Illustrious Smith agreed, and the Supreme Council published 11 Gentlemen of Charleston while Harris completed the full story. In 11 Gentlemen, Harris wove archival detail with narrative prose to develop a unique and engaging biography of the early founders, often bringing to light material on figures like the early Grand Commanders John Mitchell and Frederick Dalcoe that had eluded previous historians, including Grand Commander Albert Pike, 33rd degree, and Charles Lobinger, 33rd degree, Grand Cross. Harris writes in his introduction, "In his official bulletin, 1870 to 1890, and the Historical Inquiry, 1872, Albert Pike repeatedly pointed out his information on the founders was fragmentary and much of it unconfirmed. For the first time, enough detail has been assembled to provide substance to the portraits of these men. It is important for us to know about them because, as a group, they constitute the parentage of the Mother's Supreme Council." The 225th anniversary of the Supreme Council's founding on May 31st, 1801, provided a natural occasion to bring 11 Gentlemen back into print to serve contemporary researchers. This was the animating idea behind this project. The book preserves Harris's original text in full. His treatment of Mitchell's correspondence with George Washington remains one of the most compelling sections of any Masonic biographical work, as the letters themselves are extraordinary, and partly because of Harris's experience working in the Library of Congress. The Washington-Mitchell letters reveal an easy familiarity between the two men, Washington asking Mitchell to find lodgings for his wife Martha in Philadelphia, sending lottery tickets for Mitchell to check, requesting that a box of papers be forwarded by a safe hand and covered wagon. These are not the letters of distant acquaintances. They are the letters of two men who trusted each other, and Harris lets the reader see that without belaboring the point. This new anniversary edition adds further context. The introduction situates Harris within the historiographical tradition of the Supreme Council, from Folger and Yates through Boyden and Lobinger to Harris and Carter, and explains both how Harris came to write the work and why it still deserves attention 67 years later. Updated images replace the grainy reproductions of the 1959 edition. The miniature ivory portrait of Mitchell, the Charles Fraser miniature of Dalcoe, and the recently discovered painting of the Comte Auguste de Grasse are presented, some enhanced. The 11 founders themselves are a remarkable group of men, and it is worth focusing on them because their diversity is the quiet argument running beneath Harris's entire text. Of the 11, only 2, James Moultrie and Isaac Auld, were born in what would become the United States. Mitchell was Irish, and Dalco was baptized in London, the son of a Prussian officer who had served under Frederick the Great. The Comte de Grasse was the son of the French admiral who participated in the American Revolutionary War and served a critical role during the Battle of Yorktown. Abraham Alexander was a Sephardic Jew, the son of a rabbi whose handwritten prayer book for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur serves as one of the more evocative artifacts of early American Jewish life. Emmanuel de la Mata was likewise Jewish. Jean-Baptiste de la Hogue was a Frenchman from Saint-Domingue who had fled the Haitian Revolution. Auld's parents were Scottish Jacobite refugees who had escaped through France before reaching Pennsylvania. In 1801 Charleston, these men of different nationalities, different religions, different mother tongues came together and built an institution that endures 225 years later. Harris limits any editorial comment. Instead, he simply lays out the biographical evidence and trusts readers to draw their own conclusions. This book is not without limitations, and Harris acknowledges them in the work, which reflects the state of knowledge at that time. Harris acknowledges the inherent challenge of writing biography for figures whose documentary records are fragmentary. He was candid about what he did not know, and that candor is itself a mark of quality in a field in which the temptation to fill gaps with speculation has always been strong. For anyone interested in the origins of the Scottish Rite, or more broadly, in the social and intellectual world of early national Charleston, South Carolina, this is an essential text. Harris deserves to be read, not merely cited, and this edition makes that possible for a generation of researchers and interested readers.